Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the graveyard shift, as she said. I make sure that it's not graveyard. You guys are up and around in this session for the next 40 minutes. So, our objective of doing this session is wherein we say that, it's actually a takeoff from probably what Mahendra said in the morning, that you cannot rely on anyone. You have to take charge of things yourself. Whether there are economic pressures or social pressures on your business, you're the one who is in charge, and you have to maximize your best assets, whether they are people, whether they are your own skills, whether it's your spouse's skills, or whatever you can do to make sure that you are the boss of an enterprise that you are running. So in this session, we have got two great panelists who've probably done it all by themselves, and with a great team, some funding, and everything falling in place for them only because they said that we were in charge of doing the thing that our organization required. So what really gets that spirit, brings that spirit in us in the first place and keeps it going is what we're going to basically be discussing in this session. So I'll start with you, Pramod. How did Oxygen come to happen? I mean, after it, and of course, I would also like you to point out what were those instances, a couple of them if you could share with us, where you actually said that I'm going to take charge and to hell with everything else?
Well, thanks, Ritu, and good afternoon, everybody here. Hopefully the hall will fill up with more people who may still be
just coming.
Enjoying their lunch. I've been a professional for a long period of time, worked with large Indian companies and international companies. The idea of starting a business of my own, not knowing what it would be, was always on my mind, that I wanted to be on my own. And the reason for that was that nearly 80% of my working life, I worked very closely with two very illustrious entrepreneurs. One of a yester generation. I started my career with DCM Group. So I worked with a gentleman called Sharat Ram, who is quite an entrepreneur. He was in his own time. And then in the second phase, I worked with the Shashi and Ravi Ruyas, very well-known people who have blazed a trail everybody knows. And that's where I learned entrepreneurship. And I always dreamt to be an entrepreneur who could combine the entrepreneurial skill of these born entrepreneurs, kind of, with professionalism that I had practiced for almost 25 years. So the idea of Oxygen was not my original idea. I was looking for doing something and accidentally met some people who were doing a business in South Africa, and I just met them by chance. The moment I looked at what they were doing, I thought this is something that can be a very big thing for India. So I don't ever take a credit for starting this with my own original idea. But most ideas are generated like this. Either you're talking to somebody, you're meeting someone, you hear someone say something, and something clicks in your mind, oh, this could be a good idea. So that's how I got it. And straight away, I offered to these people to become my partners. So I would say, please stop me when you want to, because I go on sometimes with this. So I straight away offered them a partnership. I said, if you come with me, I will give up my job and start a company. Now, giving up a CEO's job in a multinational company, earning handsome salary with good position, reputation, is always a tough thing to do. And that's the first test of entrepreneurship, when you give up your cushy environment, an assured big name, power, and everything else, and start your thing. So that's how it started, Ritu.
So I guess, that is great in one sense. When you have one thing that could easily make you take charge or learn how to take charge is to work with some illustrious entrepreneurs and know their style of working, and then combine the assets that you have acquired over the years, both as a professional in his case, or probably, you take him as a mentor in early days, and then build a business around yourself, taking things that you've learned from them. So I think that's a good thought. His best assets as an entrepreneur was to work with an entrepreneur and then build his own entrepreneurial business by combining the professionalism that he had learned over the years. So wonderful there, Pramod. I'll come to Ashok now. Ashok is the MD and co-founder of TeamLease Services. So, I mean, TeamLease is a very, very unique organization and much needed in India because we have a severe skill shortage in this country. So even if one wants to build a wonderful business or a big business, it is not easy because you will not find the right skills in the country with you. So one, of course, we like to know, how did TeamLease come to be born? And secondly, between yourself and the founder, what were your best assets that you utilized in order to get this organization going to where it is today?
Thanks, Ritu. So just to give a background, we didn't conceptualize TeamLease as it is today when we started off TeamLease, and I think to mention from what Pramod said, it's a process. Entrepreneurship is a process where you discover as you go along what you will end up doing or what you want to do. And for us, as a team that started off on the entrepreneurial journey, all of us were investment bankers, had been bitten by the entrepreneurial bug to start off something, and what we knew was finance. And at the point of starting off, our first venture was India Life Pension Services, which actually started off with a concept of being a health insurance company, became a life insurance company, became a pension fund administrator, and became a payroll administration company. So it went through multiple phases of change basis the feedback that we got from the customers that we were talking to or the market that we were addressing and so on. But at that point in time, the aspect of payroll outsourcing or pension administration didn't exist. It was a fun thing for us to be doing, and it was a love me, love my dog scenario. We went saying we'll do investment advisory. Most clients said, the aspect of pain point is record administration and regulatory compliance. So if you take that, we'll give you the investment advisory part. So it was an accident. It was a lot of hypothesis testing. We didn't know what was right. We didn't know what was wrong. It was an element of proving things right or wrong as you go along the process of the journey. Logical execution for India Life was an integration with Hewitt, and we had a strategic alliance, and Hewitt took over the company in 2002. And we still wanted to be entrepreneurs. King of a small kingdom is still a king. And we believed that we still had a lot more of the entrepreneurial energy in us to start something. And again, we reached out to our corporate customers to hear what they were asking or wanting as a service. And the aspect of staffing solutions in a more structured, organized manner was something that globally at that point was a $140 billion business, but in the Indian context didn't exist at all. So we said, why not pioneer that concept? Started off the journey on TeamLease and have, I think there was a lot of latent demand there. It was the element of giving it concrete shape, giving it an accepted product structure, and evolving it up from there. And we're proud to say that the so-called overnight success that people talk of TeamLease today has 12 years behind that night before it actually came. So there was a long journey to the element of volume or scale that we were able to build up. And I think the key takeaway along the way, for us is that there is no perfect opportunity. It was a process. We didn't start off planning to do what we are doing today. It wasn't a flicking of a switch that turned on the light. It was a gentle sunrise. Went along the process and discovered along the way. And also, there is no perfect personality. The three of us as co-founders and promoters to TeamLease, we're three completely different personalities. We complement each other, hopefully. I'm a South Indian, they're North Indians. I'm tall, they're short. I'm dark, they're fair. I'm good looking, they're ugly. The whole aspect of different personalities. There's just no right personality to entrepreneurship, and there's no right timing. I think it's really committing to the process that is very important the way we look at it. And being on the dance floor gets you a higher probability of getting a partner. And I think that's really how we've driven it.
Tell me, in fact, this is a good question to both of you, and a lot of people out here would be professionals actually looking to start their own business. What, as professionals, do you think are your biggest challenges in the back of your mind when you're starting a business? That is one. And secondly, I mean, considering that you worked with big entrepreneurs, where do you feel yourself falling short? I mean, you said that Ruyas are born entrepreneurs, and you're probably right that you were investment bankers. So that was probably a job that everybody vies for. It's an envious job to be in. So coming down to the fact when you started entrepreneurship, what was it that was you knew was pulling you back and probably not letting you open your wings fully?
Okay. So, well, I think it's an advantage to have learned entrepreneurship from born entrepreneurs, and mixing the professional approach to that can at times create a better enterprise than the entrepreneurs like Ruyas have done. I don't mean to say that they've not created great enterprises, they have, but just in relative terms. So what entrepreneurship, from what I learned as entrepreneurship, was how do you make decisions? And most of the time, I have found in this entire period of working with them that majority of those decisions were driven by their instincts, by the guts. On the face of it, the decisions would look very risky. I mean, that's all about entrepreneurship, taking risks, being able to take risks. And you can take risk only when you feel strong inside. It's not the piece of paper that is presented to you where you are given details and you say, okay, this decision is very clear, you can make a decision like this. Entrepreneurs make decisions because they feel inside right about it. They can see something that others miss. And they would reach out to take risks with others will consider, not risk, they will consider as madness. I think that is the true spirit of entrepreneurship. Decisions you make, the challenges you take, which most people would consider stupid or risky. Right?
Sure. Ashok, you have a...
I think entrepreneurship is also about action orientation. The aspect of synthesizing what is out there and bringing it together to execution becomes a key aspect of an entrepreneurial leader. A story comes to mind. Einstein once went for a meal to a house, and the lady there told him that, sir, I cooked this meal from scratch for you. And he turned back and he said, ma'am, for you to have done that, you'd have to create the universe. So the aspect is that there's a lot out there in the environment that one can draw on, whether it's people, whether it's resources, whether it's capabilities, whether it is the aspect of inputs from earlier ventures that have gone on and stuff. But the key variable is pulling it all together. And I think the strength of entrepreneurship, and I haven't had the luxury of learning from others. I've had to make my own mistakes, be my own teacher. And I think one thing that we've made very clear to the organization is that we can be wrong many times, but we are never confused about the destination. We make many mistakes along the way because the aspect of entrepreneurship is both a science and an art. Science has definitive answers. Art is a little airy-fairy. And I think it's a combination of both that effectively enables the aspect of creating an entity that can either be a baby or a dwarf. Both start off kind of being the same size, but the baby with the right element of support grows to be an adult. And I think that's really where the focus has been.
Sure, wonderful. So, my question to both of you, has it now at any point of time been at the back of your mind that we want to start another venture? You've done it with Oxygen. You've done it with Team Lease. They're both successful organizations. But I'm sure now, those skills as an entrepreneur are far more, that they have honed so much more that probably starting another venture would not be that big a deal. So why I'm asking you this question is, that is a common issue with most entrepreneurs have. Once they've achieved a certain X level in an organization, they're always more motivated to start another organization or start another business idea. So
Well, it's a very interesting question, and I can share it with you that although Oxygen is the flagship venture that I have, in the last 10 years that I've been running this company, I started and I'm running almost 6 different ventures.
Wonderful.
And every time you meet people, you go out, look at things, you attend conferences like this, interact, and look at what is happening around you. It gives you an idea that you can do. And if it can be related to what you're doing, it's very easy to implement it. Majority of the other ventures that I have created, they were either support given to somebody else from me or created as a joint venture which has been spun off to be run by somebody else. I only run this company. In all other ventures, I play a role of a mentor. So these ventures are not necessarily exactly the same what is being done in Oxygen. They are in technology space. Something is in social entrepreneurship. So they are in different spaces. But it has been the urge to create something new, something different, and promote something that you can see grow in front of you is the reason why that drive remains inside you to do more. And today, also, I look at few other things, and I'm tempted to say, can I start this? But I would like to put a word of caution for those who want to start as entrepreneur. Focus is very important. Whatever you do, you have to give your more than 100%. Then only you can achieve success. There will be failures on the way, and there must be failures because that's what teaches you the right way to keep going forward. But it is important that you devote yourself to doing the task that you have taken up to the fullest. And once you're successful with it, then only you should look at doing something else. Right?
Sure. Your thoughts on this?
I think, like I mentioned earlier, this is really our second entrepreneurial venture, and I'm involved with other companies from a strategy / investment / input aspect. But I think the opportunity that we have in TeamLease, in what India is to the aspect of the 3 E's of employment, employability, and education, we spawn entrepreneurship in TeamLease. So I don't think the aspect of evolving the opportunity in TeamLease is over. So over the years, over the 12 years that we've done TeamLease, from being a pure employment play, we've gone into employability, and now we're getting into education. So effectively, we've got 7 distinct SBUs and P&Ls within TeamLease. And I would really say that those are the multiple entrepreneurial ventures that we actively involved with and kind of support from a growth perspective. So I think there's a different mindset to creation and preservation. And the Trimurtis of creation, preservation, and destruction. We're still definitely not going the destruction way, but from so creation, I think the opportunity that we have played to and are playing to is tremendously large. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which I think we've just managed to scratch the surface of, and hence have a long way to go on that front.